Welcome to today's deep dive. We have a really fascinating mission today.
We really do. We're doing a radical reexamination of how we measure success, competence, and honestly, just reality itself.
Exactly. And to the listener, the stack of material you provided for us today is incredibly diverse. I mean, we're synthesizing ancient philosophy, so Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, with biblical scripture like King David and the Ten Commandments.
Right. And then there's classic literature with Leo Tolstoy mixed right in with modern titans of management and psychology, people like Peter Drucker and Dr. Becky Kennedy.
Yeah, and you also included all these great coaching aphorisms from Pavel Zatzlin and Robert Allen, Les Brown, Simon Sinek.
Not to mention quotes from Muhammad Ali, Dwight D. Eisenhower, Matthew McConaughey, Katrina Taylor, and Vanessa Van Edwards. It is quite the lineup.
It is, but it all points to this one core thesis. We live in a world where appearance has basically become currency. And we routinely confuse the performance of intelligence with actual thought.
Right, which brings us to the whole goal of this deep dive. Exploring what we're calling the discipline of seeing through that superficial shell to the actual substance underneath.
So to start, there's this weird phenomenon you sometimes see in coffee shops. People wearing those perfectly round, wire-rimmed glasses with completely flat, non-prescription lenses.
Oh, yeah, just for the look.
Right. It's like wearing them just because you think they make you look like a CEO or an intellectual. And Baltasar Gracian actually wrote about this underlying impulse way back in 1647.
And Robert Greene modernized it in the 48 Laws of Power, right? It's Law
Right.
21.
Exactly. The law says subliminally reassure people that they are more intelligent than you are, and you can run rings around them.
Which, I mean, on the surface, that sounds like terrible advice. Or just highly manipulative.
It does. My first reaction was, wait, why are we trying to trick people?
But there's a deeper diagnostic meaning here. Greene and Grayson aren't just talking about deceiving others. They're pointing out that the human ego's attachment to the appearance of intelligence is almost universal.
Like, it's so fragile.
Exactly. Using appearances as social currency is incredibly dangerous because everyone is doing it.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Because if we are all just trading in this fake currency of appearances, the right vocabulary, the right credential, how do we ever recognize actual raw talent when it's right in front of us?
That is the perfect question. And to answer it, we have to look at a concrete example of undeniable physical talent that completely defied all appearances.
Oh, you mean the golf parable from Os Hillman that the listener sent in?
Yes, the story of Alan Doyle.
This guy is fascinating. So Doyle had this incredibly unorthodox, basically ugly golf swing. Hillman said it was a total shock to his golf senses because it violated every country club convention out there.
Right, any traditional expert watching his form would say, well, this guy is terrible.
But he wasn't. He hit the fairway and the green every single time.
With that ugly swing.
With the ugly swing. He won 6 Georgia amateur titles. He won multiple senior majors. And get this, in 2005, he was 9 strokes behind and shot a 63 to win.
Wow. See, that is exactly why conventional expert judgment consistently fails to spot true substance. It is literally blinded by form.
Because they're just looking at the mechanics of the swing.
Exactly. And this connects so beautifully to the biblical story of the prophet Samuel from 1 Samuel 16.7.
Oh, right. When he's anointing the next king of Israel.
Yeah. So Samuel is the expert. He looks at Jesse's older sons, who are tall and conventionally impressive, and he just assumes one of them is the king.
Because they look the part. They
Yeah.
have the good golf swing, basically.
Right. But God chooses the unlikely youngest son, David, who is just a shepherd boy out with the sheep. And the text says, man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart.
Which parallels that verse from 1 Corinthians 1.27
Yeah.
about choosing the foolish to shame the wise.
Precisely. And you can even see this woven into the Ten Commandments. They aren't about superficial impressions or looking holy. They are ruthless, concrete behavioral acts.
Don't steal, don't kill. Very clear substance.
Yes. Leo Tolstoy wrote about this too. He said, to fulfill Christianity, we have to restore its purity, moving from the shell back to the kernel.
But wait, I have to push back on this a little bit. Isn't there some value in good form? Like, we teach conventions for a reason, right? Does having a terrible swing automatically make you a secret genius?
No, definitely not. Form isn't inherently bad. But the point is, it does not predict substance. You can have perfect form and zero substance.
Okay, so what does this all mean for us? Because it's one thing when experts misjudge a golfer or a shepherd boy. But what happens when we start believing our own hype? When we buy into our own past appearances of success.
That's where it gets really dangerous. It's the danger of importing past successful habits into new contexts. Peter Drucker has this brilliant insight on it from the Daily Drucker.
The suddenly incompetent executive.
Yes. So why do people who are highly competent for 10 or 15 years suddenly fail? Drucker says they aren't actually incompetent, they are exhibiting misplaced competence.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means they confuse the specific behaviors that got them promoted, like hands-on technical problem solving, with the substance.
And the substance is what?
The responsive intelligence to choose the right approach for the current moment.
Oh, man. Here's where it gets really interesting. It's like a star quarterback getting promoted to head coach. And in a moment of panic during the Super Bowl, he tried to run onto the field and throw a pass from the sidelines.
That is the perfect analogy. He's defaulting to what made him successful in the past, entirely ignoring his new reality. Eisenhower actually noted that planning is everything.
Right, because you need that situational awareness.
Exactly. The necessary corrective here is humility. You have to ask Drucker's essential question, which is, what new things should I be doing in my new assignment to be effective?
Because if you just keep throwing passes from the sideline, you're going to lose the game.
Right. And building on your quarterback analogy, this misreading of a situation is fundamentally a behavioral failure, which directly begs the question, if we fail to read our own required behaviors correctly, how on earth can we correctly interpret the erratic behaviors of others?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that is tough. But the Stoics actually have a framework for this, right? I mean, we're talking about using the actions of others as diagnostic tools rather than final judgments.
Yes, Marcus Aurelius is the perfect example. In his Meditations, he privately struggled constantly with human failure and betrayal.
Which Ryan Holiday writes about a lot. And the sources connect this ancient philosophy to modern psychology, specifically Dr. Becky Kennedy's Good Inside.
Dr. Kennedy has this incredibly elegant formulation. She says, on the surface we see a behavior, but underneath we see a person.
So the tantrum, the lie, the thrown punch, they aren't the whole story.
No, they're clues. They point to unmet needs running invisibly beneath the surface. Behavior is a window, not a wall.
And Marcus Aurelius basically used the wrongdoings of others as his window, right, to examine his own nature.
Exactly. And Jean Webster has this great insight that brings it down to an everyday level. She said, anyone can face a crushing tragedy with courage, but meeting the petty hazards of the day with a laugh requires true spirit.
I love that. And Vanessa Van Edwards talks about this too, with stoic leadership and purposeful emotion, along with Katrina Taylor's notes on tolerance, applying this to, traffic jams and difficult colleagues. But let me play devil's advocate for the listener here.
Yeah.
It's easy for a Roman emperor or a child psychologist to say, hey, look at the unmet need when a toddler throws a tantrum.
Sure.
But how do you actually do that when the person throwing the tantrum is a 45-year-old adult cutting you off in traffic?
Well, that's precisely why Stoicism is a practice. It's raw training. You don't just wake up enlightened. When someone cuts you off, your initial reaction is anger. The training is catching that reaction and choosing to see through the behavior.
Which takes a massive amount of patience. And you don't build that patience in a vacuum. You need the right inputs and models to learn this discipline.
You really do. Seneca talks about this On the Brevity of Life. He says we can truly choose whose children we'd like to be.
Meaning we can adopt mentors from history.
Exactly. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Tolstoy, Drucker. We can learn from them. But to do so, we have to admit our own ignorance. We have to drop that vanity Gratian warned us about.
Which perfectly sets up this rapid-fire synthesis of the coaching wisdom we got. Like Pavel Tsatsouline saying, no misses in training, train success, not failure.
Right.
And Robert Allen saying there is no failure, only feedback. Plus, Les Brown's warning that no one rises to low expectations.
You can really frame all of those around Matthew McConaughey's Green Lights philosophy. It's about catching the right signals. And Simon Sinek adds to this by warning that giving with the expectation of a return actually contaminates the act.
Yeah, because it makes it a transaction instead of true generosity.
Exactly. And the ultimate call to action for this purposeful training comes from Muhammad Ali. Don't count the days, make the days count.
I feel like all of this requires so much vulnerability. It's like downloading a massive software update, You can't install the new operating system if you're constantly convincing everyone the old version is flawless.
That is exactly it. Shedding this armor of fake competence is the ultimate work of restoration.
So, synthesizing this entire journey for the listener, Day 158's unified conviction is pretty clear. The world standard measures the Ivy League credential, the perfect golf swing, the past success, the surface behavior, they are all systematically unreliable lenses.
They distort reality.
Yeah. And the corrective is this discipline of looking through the performance to the actual person.
Yeah,
Which brings us to the final aphorism from the source text.
right. The true experiment, if I change, will my life change?
It's powerful.
It emphasizes that the only experiment that matters is figuring out what you need to do differently and having the willingness to discover that the answer is yes.
So I want to leave you, the listener, with a final thought to mull over long after this deep dive ends. If we've learned today that looking successful can actually block your growth, it leaves you with a slightly terrifying question.
Mm-hmm.
What if the next great leap in your personal growth requires you to actively look foolish, incompetent, or completely out of your depth to everyone around you for a little while? Are you brave enough to drop the performance?
That's the real challenge.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been great.
We'll catch you next time.